Hello YouTube. So in today's video I just wanted to say that I think that large companies offer the greatest job security. The reason I say this is because during times of economic uncertainty, large companies are the ones that are the largest and they have the most to fall back on. And because they prioritize the long-term sustainability and growth of their business, which is exactly what would enable a large company to get to where they are in the first place, because of that, they are the most stable, they are the most secure. Because, like, if you think about it, if a business is prioritizing its profits and its growth, as well as its customers and its employees, which I feel is the case with this company I work for, I feel as though that's like if job security does exist, it would have to be at the largest businesses, including the one that I work for. Because it's like, because they've got the most to fall back on. They think in terms of long term survivability and growth of the business. And so far, it's only been week one, so maybe it's too soon to tell, but like, so far, I really like this new job of mine. I think I do fairly well so far. And I made one of my more recent videos, I think it was just yesterday, where I was saying that the part about staying awake during the nighttime was going to be an issue. But, like, so far, I don't, like, it might have been the case, like, within the first week. But, like, so far, I feel like I'll do okay. Because, like, I do have blackout curtains, which ironically came from the company that I work for. And they help out a lot, because it blocks out the light, which helps me sleep during the day. That's like the secret to maintaining a third shift job, you know? Blackout curtains to, like, block the sun, because the sun can disrupt your sleep during the day. As a matter of fact, had it not been for the blackout curtains, it would disrupt your sleep massively. Which is why blackout curtains exist in the first place. It's for if you have to sleep during the day. They're perfect for that. It allows you to. It's almost like it simulates as if it were nighttime. Not exactly, because some little bit of light comes through still, but overall, it's pretty good. It's important to not only be hydrated and take care of yourself in other ways, like getting enough to eat, but also getting enough sleep, because sleep is also a basic need. Adequate and high quality sleep. It's important to take care of yourself. Stay hydrated, eat enough food. If you need to depend on free food services, there's no shame in that whatsoever, because food insecurity is on the rise, has been for a while now, for numerous reasons. I myself have recently enrolled in the SNAP, which was like shortly before I began my new job. And then I'll have to report my change in income. But that's just the rules, so it's important to do that, because like the amount they give you is based on your income, and if they find out you've been lying, well, then that will seriously hurt your reputation, so you don't want to do that. Could be various repercussions for that. You don't want that. Or you could go to a church or a pantry or a Starvation Army. I always want to call them Starvation Army, even though I know it's a Salvation Army. A church, international church that has been around for 160 years now, I believe. I remember a few weeks, maybe a month or two ago, I went to an interview there, and then they mentioned it's been around for 160 years. I'm not mistaken. That was what they said. I think that's pretty cool. I think any charitable organization is good. But I also think, in terms of long term job security, that the company I work for is also really good because, like, I mean, there's a huge difference between the two. There's a huge difference between an international church that's been around for 160 years and an e-commerce giant that's been around for probably a few decades, or I can't even remember exactly. But like everybody probably already knows the one I'm referring to. As soon as I say e-commerce giant, I mean, you already know which one I'm talking about. If you don't, you might want to look it up if you're not aware of its existence. I don't know how you couldn't be. I mean, you've got to be hiding under a rock to not know what I mean when I say e-commerce giant. One of America's top 10 biggest companies. You know, it's right up there with like Walmart or Google or Apple or Microsoft. Whatever the other top 10 companies are. But I think it's like, I think that really large companies are kind of just inherently more stable in the sense that the business itself is stable. Like, if you can count on the business that you're working for, to me, that's what kind of defines job security. I mean, of course, like large businesses can get huge pools of applicants. So if they have to, they can just replace anybody at the drop of a hat. But at the same time, that's also kind of a good thing. It's also kind of good that everybody's metrics are being individually measured in some way. Because let's say if there's some of these newbie know-it-all types, I know, and most do not seem that way, but there can be some that are kind of like, you know, the kind of people who, in a fast-paced, physically demanding work environment, will be like trying to tell everybody else what to do. Meanwhile, they fail to realize that they're wasting their own time and getting backed up. The thing that I've come to realize is that, for one thing, it's kind of funny because, like, by telling other people what to do and by getting into these little squabbles, potentially, hasn't happened so far, but like, I mean, I've noticed there's some that are most, like at least 90% seem okay. But there were a few times where I'm getting the impression that a few might be like they're telling you what to do, which is kind of good because, yeah, I want to learn. That's the thing though, like, if somebody's like a workplace know-it-all, when they're on like the same level as you, like, it's different if a manager tells you what to do because they're the manager. Okay, like, that's their job to do. So then you should respect that and listen to what they have to say. But like, if it's somebody who's also just like, you know, fairly new to the establishment and just saying things like, hey, do this, you put that in the wrong thing. It's like, okay, won't happen again. A lot of times, like, if they're like repeatedly telling everybody else what to do, but yet they're getting backed up, I just find it kind of funny in a way because it's like, yeah, I better hurry more. Even though you're getting backed up a bit, yeah, I better hurry more. Okay. But like, the thing that's kind of ironic about it is how like workplace know-it-alls will be like the ones who are getting backed up the most are often the ones who are telling other people what to do, which is kind of just funny because it's like, I don't know. And as far as like the pro tip I mentioned in like the previous video when after I'd stayed awake all night even though I wasn't scheduled that night, purely out of habit. I remember mentioning maximizing efficiency. Like, every second counts in a fast-paced, physically demanding work environment. It's not even really that, like, it's not physically demanding, but it is a little bit, somewhat fast-paced. I mean, I feel like I'm doing pretty good so far, which I'm really glad that I am. And thing that I've also come like the thing that I immediately realize is like it's not worth arguing in a fast-paced working environment because that will literally hurt your own metrics as well as the person you maybe would be arguing with. Like there hasn't been that yet. I don't expect it to be that way. Thankfully, like I just really like this company that I work for because it's just like it feels like it's so well managed. It's like it's also just such a huge company. It's one of America's largest companies. You know, you know which one I'm referring to. Like, I hope I can keep it. I think I probably will because it's just like I've been sorting pretty good, and but the thing that's kind of funny is that people will say like, yeah, you need to sort this here, you need to sort that there, but like, yet they're getting backed up. And when I was doing that very same job, I wasn't having any trouble keeping up with sorting it into different bags. It's just like I don't have trouble sorting it off of the line either. And it's just like, I just think it's kind of funny in a way. Because it's like they're saying, you need to hurry, but yet they're the ones getting backed up. It's like, I don't know. It's kind of funny. It's kind of like, how exactly are you so unaware? You need to hurry. But yeah, you're the one backed up. Okay. But the thing that's just like funny about it is it's like it's not even worth like kind of discussing it with them because that alone would be a waste of time because it's like every second counts in a fast-paced working environment. Like let's say this is just a completely made up hypothetical scenario, but let's say if somebody were to who's like on the same level as you, by the way. Like it's different if a manager tells you what to do because like that's their job as a manager. They're managing. So if they tell you to do something, just listen to what they're saying. I'm not a manager, by the way. But like in any working environment ever, the management is there to manage. So if they tell you what to do, listen to them. That's what I do. If they tell me something to do, I just do what they say without question because that's what they're there for. But like, let's say if somebody's also kind of like new to the company, they're doing the same role as you, but yet they're acting like they're the ones telling you what to do, even though they're getting backed up and you're not. The thing that I've come to realize is it's like it's not even worth kind of discussing or arguing with them at that point because it's just like, first of all, if they're on the same role as you, they're not in a position to tell you anything to begin with. But if they're going to act like you're the one that needs to hurry when they're the ones getting backed up, like, I'm not even going to discuss it with them. I'm just going to be like, okay, whatever. Like try and brush it off as soon as possible because any amount of time spent discussing it with them, that will take away from your own metrics. So don't let their wasted time become your own wasted time. That's the way I look at it. Because let's say this completely made up hypothetical scenario, somebody who's in the same role as you about, and they say like, "Oh, you need to hurry," even though they're backed up and you're not. By arguing or something, if that were to happen, not only would it create dissension within the workplace, but it would also it's like you would allow their wasted time to become your own wasted time at that point. At that point, it's like just brush it off and move on. Because every second counts. Optimizing efficiency, maximizing every second. Another thing that I find kind of funny is in these types of working environments, there can sometimes occasionally be the type of person who's going to be like, here, let me help you with your work. But they don't mean it actually in that way. They're trying to give the impression that they're doing the work for you. It's like, well, first of all, it's like a team environment, of course, like because everybody's working for the same company, they work together. But if you're like assigned within a certain area, they're assigned within a certain area, like along the line or whatever. Like, don't worry too much about others' stuff. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's nice to help. Like, if you have time to do so, that's fine and good. But, like, I'm mostly concerned about the area and the tasks that I'm personally assigned to. And yeah, it's nice to help if you have time to do so. Like, let's say if the let's say a bunch of them come down for the person who's like a little bit further up the line, but then they're missing a few of them. But yet I'm still waiting for more of mine. In that situation, it's like, yeah, it'd be nice to help. You know, if I'm able to. But like the number one priority is like the location or the task that you specifically are assigned to. So that's another thing. Like, don't worry too much about what other people are doing. Worry about yourself. I still think it's kind of funny. Like, if somebody's getting backed up, and yet they're telling you like this or that, it's almost like they're trying to like make it your fault in some way, even though they know it's not. Or it could also just be a staffing related issue too. But then again, applicant applicants are constantly applying, so like they have no trouble replacing anybody if they need to, which they oftentimes do because there's a high turnover rate. But for me personally, I feel like I'm made for this type of job. The one that I just recently started. I feel like, again, I used to work at a distribution center from 2014 to 2017 full time, averaging about 50 to 60 hours a week for 3 years straight. As of right now, that location is for lease at 500 North 72nd Ave. But at that time that I was working there from 2014 to 2017, full time for 3 years, it used to be a distribution center for East Bay, back when East Bay was still in business. And I just like, I know how that exact type of job works. It's a warehouse style environment. You know? And of course, the exact processes are not exactly the same, but like I know how to do that job. I've got the experience under my belt to do it, and so far, I have been doing good. And even the managers themselves have said you've done a good job, and I think that that's good. I'm proud of myself, and I want to keep this job. I plan on working there for as long as I'm able to. And it will also help me pay for my online courses too. And eventually I have to pay back the federal government, the student loans. And then one day I'll make use of that degree too, hopefully. Because the way I look at it is whether there is or isn't a future, you still want to plan on being in the future. You know what I mean? But like, I remember like the previous video where I mentioned the pro tip, but because I was awake all night, even though I wasn't working that night, I was kind of just a little bit out of it, maybe. And then later on, I forgot the pro tip, maximizing efficiency. Even though last night, I think I maximized efficiency pretty well. I noticed that some of the stores were getting backed up, but I wasn't having any problem sorting the line and putting the boxes where they need to be. I'm sure there might have been a few that would be like misplaced in the wrong bin. And of course, they gotta let me know about it so they can help me out, right? Even though I had no problem doing that exact same job before. Even on my very first day of training, as a stower. Yeah, they're gonna help me out. They're gonna give me advice on how to work more efficiently, of course, right? Because I clearly needed the advice. I clearly needed the help, even though they're the ones getting bagged up. Yeah. Yep. Thanks for your advice. I needed it. I needed the pep talk there. I'll have a Pepsi to go with it, or Mountain Dew, either one. Anyways, I think this video has been long enough. It's been over 20 minutes so far. Have a great day or night, and have a great life. Until the next video, whenever that will be. Bye.